Hey, this is a quick guide on how to use the Cosman remote control for the Nordic and the entry-level series. So you'll see that the new remote is a lot better than the old one. It's got a sweet design, it's got a lot more features, so we'll go over them together. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is how to set the time on this remote when you first get it. So you basically just hit the timer on clock button, hold it for 4 or 5 seconds, just let it go, and then you can basically just set the clock to the time that you want by hitting the up and down buttons. To set it, just hit timer on clock button again, and it's all set. And the next thing we'll do is look at the timer on clock and the timer off button and what other features they do. So you basically use this to also set up your timer for the machine when you want it to start and when you want it to stop. Most people will just set it and forget it, but if you want it on a timer, you can do that as well. So hit timer on to set your timer. Just basically pick the time that you want it to start at. Hit timer on again. There you go. If you want it to stop after it starts, just hit timer off. Set the time that you want it to shut off at. And hit it again. And you're all set. And you'll see it'll revert back to the time. Okay. We'll remove the timers. Just hit timer on, timer off. There you go. The timer's off now. So the other thing we'll check right now is how to switch from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So you'll see it's written on the back here. So you just press mode and the down button together for 3 seconds. So there we go. There you go. Now it's set up on Celsius. And you can do that vice versa for Celsius or Fahrenheit. Okay, so now we'll look at the different modes this unit has. So you'll basically be using this button to change between cooling, dehumidifying, fan, and heating. So you'll see that cooling has a snowflake, dehumidifying has the little water drops, fan is just for fan mode, for ventilation, and then you've got heating, that's the sun. So this is what you'll be using it as mostly, either the sun or for cooling. To set the temperature, well, it's pretty simple. You just hit the up and down arrows to the temperature that you'll want. And then to change the fan speed, you just basically hit fan. So you'll see that this unit has multiple fan speeds. It has more fan speeds than most units on the market. So I think you got like 7 fan speeds right now. So what you can do is you can set the fan to automatic. That's what it is right now. To high. And then you just hit the fan button for different speeds. And you just basically select the fan speed that you want. Well, please note though that on 18,000 BTU units and 24,000 BTU units, the high fan speeds are noisy just because they just push out so much air. So most people won't use those on those levels. On the 12,000 BTU, it's not really a big deal. And there's another feature here. It's the super mode. When you hit super mode, what it does, it reduces your machining cooling to the coldest temperature possible, and it's going to push at max speed just to to cool your room quickly. And in heating mode, say we switch it to heating, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to go to 30 degrees Celsius and push full blast. Okay, so the other thing you'll be controlling a lot is the louvers. So you basically have motorized louvers that go up and down and left and right. So you just hit this button, it's just going to go up and down, and then you can hit it again just to stop it where you want. Very simple to use. And then there's a bunch of other features on this remote. So we'll go one by one. So you'll see here there's 8-degree heat. What this does is, and actually you need to be in heating mode to use this. So once you hit it, what it's going to do is going to try to keep your space around 8 degrees Celsius. So that's good when you go on vacation where you don't want to spend too much electricity. The compressor is not going to run really hard. It's just going to try to keep your space at a low temperature, which is perfect. Then you've got other features here. The quiet mode, you'll see here there's a little guy that shows up in quiet mode. What it does, it reduces your fan speed to low, and it's also going to reduce your compressor so that it runs at a low speed, usually between 65 100 BTU to 10,000 BTUs. That's where it's going to stay at. So it's going to keep the frequency of the compressor pretty low, and it's also going to keep the noise very low inside and outside. You've got an economy mode here. So basically, this works similar as the quiet function. What it tries to do, it tries to save you electricity. So the compressor typically is not going to run full blast, and the inside fan is going to run at a low speed, so it doesn't take too much watts out of your electricity. So the quiet and economy are a little similar. The quiet mode can let the compressor rev a little higher. Okay, so then you've got another really cool feature. It's a smart feature. So basically this is an advanced automatic mode type deal. So once you hit this, you'll notice that it's just going to end up going in automatic. It's going to base its function based on the room temperature where you're at. So once you hit this function, basically you'll see there's a little guy that shows up on the top right, and you can look at the manual to see exactly what it does. But basically, like for 21 degrees, if it's 21 degrees or less, it's going to act as a heater. If it's that's the temperature in your home. If it's between 21 to 23 Celsius, it's going to work as a fan. And if you're between 23 to 26, it's going to dehumidify. And then if you're over 26 degrees, it's going to cool. So, I mean, you can convert these numbers in Fahrenheit, but they're all written in the book. And you can adjust the temperature this is based on by hitting the temperature button. So you can increase the base temperature by 1 to 7 degrees, or you can reduce it by 1 to 7 degrees as well. So, but for this, yeah, you're better off checking in the mail. It's explained pretty clearly. And then another feature that's really cool in this remote, it's the iFeel. So we'll remove this smart feature, just basically change the mode. Okay, now we've got in heating. So the iFeel feature, what this does is the remote actually has a sensor and a thermostat in the back of it. So this lets your system base the operating temperature based on where your remote is located. So if you want your AC unit temperature to be based on a room that's farther in your house, just bring your remote farther away in your house. Try to keep about 6.5 meters away or less from the AC unit. And you can play around with it to see what keeps your house the most comfortable. But it's a really neat feature because some people sometimes they have a long house, and because these are modulating fans and compressors, if it bases a temperature based on the local room, sometimes the fan's going to slow down. But if you put your remote closer or farther away, the fan's going to modulate higher, so it's going to keep you a bit more comfortable in those farther to reach places. Okay, another thing, the last feature of this remote, there's a couple more features. It's the sleep button. The sleep button, once you hit that, what it does is you've got 4 sleep modes. You can refer to the manual for the 4 sleep modes and what they do. Basically, it's just going to modulate depending on how many degrees it's supposed to increase or decrease depending on the mode. But after 8 hours, when you hit the sleep mode, basically the machine's going to shut off. So that's the most important feature of the sleep mode. There's another feature that's not discussed in the manual. There's a self-diagnostic tool built in this remote. So in case you have a weird issue with your system, or if you think something's not right, you can hit the sleep button 10 times. So, and then if there's an error code that pops up on your system, then there's an issue. You can try that a couple times and see if it works in case you have an issue. It's basically just a built-in test to help diagnose the systems instead of having a complicated HVAC guy come in and test it for you. And that's it.